Hello, my name is Bradley and I'm your host of The Internal Game. Okay, so a while back I made a video called Don't Shoot the Messenger. And if you look up what Don't Shoot the Messenger means, it says to treat the bearer of bad news as if they were to blame. Okay, and we know on this channel we don't play the blame game, we play the internal game, right? So this leads me to a quote by Neville Goddard where he says, "Don't try to change people. They are only messengers telling you who you are. Revalue yourself and others will conform to this change." Something like that, right? So we may be experiencing some not so ideal behavior from others, right? We may be experiencing maybe people being rude, maybe people telling you they don't want to be with you, maybe people telling you that, like, hey, you're not good enough for this job position, SB telling you that hey, I just want to be friends. Who knows? Doesn't really matter, right? But no matter what is happening out there, these people are only messengers telling you who you are. That's it. We do not want to blame them. We do not want to put a bunch of focus on them, and we don't want to try to change people, especially with like repetitive affirmations trying to change people's behaviors when we are not changing anything about self at that point. Because yes, people will come back, people will change a little bit with the with the repetitive affirmations. This is something I've seen, I've done, but in due time it was back to the way it was because I didn't change anything internally about self, right? Just like Neville says, your self-concept is the most important viewpoint that you have, right? It's because everything is coming from this. Now, what you want to be doing is really shifting the focus off of people, especially this SP thing, because there's a lot of focus when it comes to romantic interest, right? And really, if you've been watching my videos, what's actually happening is your identity is looking for confirmation of how it sees itself. And if you have a self-concept that is like rooted in abandonment and pain and not being chosen and like trauma and things like that, then it's going to use this person, the specific person that you're talking about, to reaffirm how it sees itself. So it'll say things like, I just want this person to treat me better. I want this person to love me. I want this person to choose me and only me. But the identity itself doesn't actually want that, because then it wouldn't be able to exist, right? So that's the tricky part, because you can always know how you're actually viewing self, I guess, like, or what you actually believe to be true about self, by how you are creating meaning to another person. So if they're texting you and you're looking for reasons as to why it's not enough, this should let you know something. If they're texting you and you're like, oh, where's the emoji? Or how come they're not responding back? Or like, what if they like someone better? This should let you know that you have a really unfavorable viewpoint of self, right? Because these thoughts, these meanings that you're creating from this person are coming from this self, right? So we don't want to shoot the messenger. We don't want to blame the messenger. We actually want to think it. Like, okay, hey, wow, thank you for letting me know what I had going on within. I'm going to choose to disidentify with this way of being. And I'm going to do that by not buying into the thoughts that are coming from this way of being. Thoughts of being abandoned, thoughts of not being enough, thoughts of this person doing something that's not favorable because this means that you're not enough, or whatever the case may be. But nonetheless, you're going to stop believing these thoughts, right? There's another quote by Neville that says, you already are who you desire to be, and your refusal to believe this is the reason it's not so. This is why I put a lot of attention on not believing thoughts, because that's your refusal to believe that you already are who you desire. It's your refusal to believe that you're not with this person. It's your refusal to believe this person would not choose you. It's your refusal to believe that you are enough and worthy and perfect just as you are, right? So again, we don't have problems telling new stories and affirming. We have problems going back to this identity that doesn't actually want change and buying into these thoughts coming from this identity. So if you have a lot of focus on what a person is doing or not doing, and you're creating meaning that means that you're not picked and chosen and loved and worthy and things like that, then take your attention off of the messenger. And take your attention off the messenger entirely. You don't want to be trying to change this person's behavior and this person with affirmations and just so you can feel safe and loved and secure. No, you want to be given the safety and love and security to yourself, which is more of a realization when you get out of this identity. Because again, the insanity of identity is that it's only going to be looking for how it sees itself, and it can only see in accordance with how it sees itself. So it'll say that it wants something that it actually doesn't want, because if it did get chosen and loved and treated properly, it wouldn't know what to do with itself, and it couldn't survive. So it doesn't want that. Now you, this God, this God consciousness, this all type of being, does love things like this connection and love and compassion and understanding. It loves that. It is that, right? But this identity is based in separation. All mind identification has some form of separation going on. So please start to play the internal game, not the blame game. Stop thinking that the messenger is doing something to you. It is only reflecting back you. It is only letting you, you should look at it as letting you know what you think and what you believe to be true about yourself. And in most cases, it's not even ideal stuff, okay? So if you're chasing an SP, stop. Bring it back to you for a little while. Focus on you. Stop identifying with thoughts that reaffirm this little me identity. Recognize the insanity of what it actually is doing. The spiral. Recognize the insanity of literally just being in your house with nothing going on and getting yourself so worked up and creating so much unfavorable meaning about what somebody's doing or not doing that is causing you into a state of being like you're running from a bear, right? And you're going to find your stability when you stop entertaining these thoughts, when you stop taking the usual thought patterns, the habitual thought patterns seriously, because the habitual thought patterns is coming from identity. And if you want to get out of the identity, stop believing the habitual thought patterns, because all it's doing is reaffirming this identity. It's going to keep whatever's out there and expanding, right? So you don't want to do that. The identity wants to do that, but that's why you have to recognize the illusion of this identity and recognize that like it actually thrives and enjoys on the pain and the not being chosen and the not being loved and creating all this meaning to reaffirm this. Because if you actually did feel worthy and loved and were in your solid states of oneness, you wouldn't be perceiving what a person is doing or not doing in a way that is one of you being not picked and chosen and loved, right? So because again, you wouldn't be perceiving it that way because you're not being that way. So again, we don't see with the eyes, we see with the identity, we see with the identification with thought, right? Our how we see ourselves. So nonetheless, don't shoot the messenger. It's irrelevant. They can't do anything but reflect you. And every time that we react to a messenger and blame the messenger, we're just reaffirming this little me, this victim identity, and that's not something that you want to be doing. Something that the identity wants to be doing, but not what you actually are. Doesn't want to be doing that. So yeah. And also I want to ask you guys, like, if you have been reacting and then regret and that cycle of reaction, regret, and you're okay, I got it now, and then you buy into the thought patterns and then you're back to spiraling. I want to ask you, like, when do you think enough is enough? Because the only person that can change this is you. And someone asked me a long time ago, like, what was the big change? And I said, pain. Like actually having enough pain and recognizing that that my identity liked this pain because it was familiar. It's how it saw itself. Like the Eckhart Tolle quote where it said, people don't want to give up their pain because if you look closely, it's so intrinsically intertwined with how they see themselves, and to give up the pain would mean to give up who they are. And this is insane. I'm not saying you are, I'm saying this whole identification with this pain is. So it's up to you. If you can't start today, then when? Ask yourself that. Then when can I start to let this identity go? When can I recognize that this is quite insane? When can I recognize that I don't want to, when can I really, really realize that I don't want to do this anymore? Actually not want to do it anymore. Get out of the victim game. Get out of the pointing the fingers and blaming messengers and this person's so mean, this person's so this, and really realizing, okay, this is just letting me know what I have going on within. Thank you for letting me know what I have going on within. So now I'm going to disidentify with this little me. I put a lot of focus on disidentifying with the little me because the little me is what created all this stuff. Right? Your refusal to believe that you already are this thing is what created all this stuff. And when you stop believing in the thoughts that could be deemed as doubtful, when you stop believing in the thoughts that are making you fearful, you are naturally left with what you are. When you stop believing in thoughts that are things that are saying why you're not perfect as is right now, or why it's not going to happen, then you are naturally left with why you're perfect right now. and how things are happening and how they're going to happen and how you already have these things. So it's not about so much about the new story. Now, once you're in a stable place, if you want to tell a new story, then by all means do it. But if you're trying to force a new story, you're trying to force change on somebody by affirmation and whatever, like it's going to be extremely hard because the identity doesn't want that. And the best thing you can do is let go of this identity so you can actually get in touch with what it is that you are. And then when you do that, guess what? You'll naturally look at this other person like this too. Because now you're only looking at them as how you see yourself. Like you're looking for evidence, you're looking for proof of them not choosing you and them not loving you and them maybe finding somebody else because that's actually how you feel about stuff with this identity, but it's all illusion. And when you can get out of that, but not believing the thoughts coming from these identities like I talk about all the time, then you will naturally be able to view people differently and it's a whole different reality. So don't shoot the messenger. Don't play the blame game. This is the internal game, okay? If I wanted to make a blame game channel, I would have done that. Probably would have been easier. I'm just kidding. But anyway, I love you guys. You're worth it. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to sound all sappy, but you are worth it. For corny, like you are worth it. You don't deserve to be putting yourself through pain and buying into thought patterns that are not real, about unfavorable viewpoints of self and buying into them over and over every day. React, regret, react, regret, react, regret, react, regret, react, regret. Like, eventually you have to make the change in the moment and choose to not identify with those thought patterns. But only you can do that. But like you should start today. When you start to see the thoughts, I know they seem familiar and they seem really real, but you have to not believe them. You have to recognize them as irrelevant. The more you do this, the weaker these identities this identity gets, and you're going to feel stability. I work with people all the time. These things happen. You are going to feel stability. You're going to view this person as not separate from you, and not mean anymore, and all these things, and you're going to get an entirely different reality because you're being different. But you're worth it. You don't want to continue doing this to yourself, but the identity does. So recognize it when it's happening. Bring awareness to when it's happening. Like, oh, okay, wow, like I think I'm in identity right now because I'm feeling sorry for myself and I'm blaming people and I'm shooting the messenger. So I'm going to not do that over and over again. So it's worth it, I promise you. And you're worth it. This also, I promise you. So I'm going to get off here and I will see you guys in a little while in the next video. Love you guys. See you later.